All right, we got Clayton Sayfie on the line talking Michigan football. Catch him on the Wolverine.com on Rivals. And, lastly, the way this coaching staff came together, many of them at the last day or two prior to spring practice, and then many of them coaching positions that they're not familiar with. I shouldn't say familiar with. They're not experienced in at this level. Has there been any discussion during these Zoom calls and the interviews that you take part in regards to just how they're gelling as a staff and getting comfortable with each other? And it's not that it's something that coaches aren't used to in the NFL and collegiate levels. They're all over the place. They live nomadic lifestyles. They're at a stop for 1 or 2 or 3 years typically, and then they're moving on. So they're used to new coaches coming in and out. But this is pretty much almost a complete churn of the coaching staff and just how they feel that that's working out in regards to them working together.
Yeah, I guess I'll start by saying it's only really 2 guys that are, in totally unfamiliar spots. Ron Bellamy coaching the safeties, and that was the move that, was right before spring ball. And then Matt Weiss being brought in from Baltimore, which pushed Ron Bellamy over to the defensive side of the ball. He's coaching the quarterbacks, but he worked with the quarterbacks a little bit in Baltimore before working with the running backs. He worked with Joe Flacco, and I think is going to be pretty integral in trying to, up Michigan's RPO game, something that they showed some flashes of last year, and I thought it was really good going back to that Minnesota game again, and then they kind of abandoned it. So, I didn't really know what the deal was there, but yeah, in terms of, with this coaching staff gelling, I mean, the players are saying it's going really well in terms of them building these relationships with the coaches. I mean, they're not going to say otherwise, but from what we've heard, that is going on. And, talking to some sources as well, based on, what they've seen at practice and what they've heard, is that there is that more energy, like I mentioned earlier, and the coaches are, a lot more approachable. Some of these guys, specifically Mo Linguist, for example, the co-defensive coordinator and secondary coach, has an open door policy. We're hearing that was not necessarily the case with the prior coach, Mike Zordich, who I really like. I thought he was a very good coach. But I think that the philosophy is that there were some culture problems on the team last year. I think there were some guys that weren't bought in. And I think that that's the number one thing that Jim Harbaugh wanted to fix is, number one, we want guys that can relate to the players, get through to them, because we've talked about this before, Mark. Like, you can teach all you want, but if you're not getting through to a guy and a guy doesn't trust that what you're saying, is accurate, or he doesn't want to play for you, or he's not motivated, then it doesn't really matter. So you have to have both, in terms of getting through to the players and being a really good teacher and good at, being a knowledgeable football coach. And I think that's what Jim Harbaugh's been going for here. We'll see if it plays out. We'll see if that is, exactly what happens on the field, which is all that matters. And I think Michigan fans are in wait and see mode now more than ever, because, there's been optimism before and it hasn't panned out necessarily. It's panned out to good seasons, 9-10 wins and things like that, but it hasn't been that championship level that they want it to be. And certainly last year was nowhere near championship level. So now they feel burned, I think, Michigan fans right now. So, we're hearing good things about the coaching staff, how they're gelling, how they're relating to the players. But is that going to be one thing we joke about in a year, talking about, oh, well, at least they related well to the players and things like that? I don't know. And that's why, I think a lot of people just want to see it. And that's why I really can't wait for, now that basketball's over, I can't wait for football season. I don't want to wish summer away. It's not even summer yet. But I'm excited to see, what this is going to be.
There's a video on YouTube, and I won't disclose the name of the coach that's leading the conference, because it's a filthy name on this channel. So maybe you can guess. But it's a particular coach that is very successful at the collegiate level that just took an NFL job. So you can fill in the blanks there. But he's speaking to the State High School Coaches Association. He's talking about exactly what you're talking about right there. He's talking about coaching and getting through to the players, and that you may have a certain coaching style and you may be comfortable with that, but that may not be effective for every 8 of your running backs. So you've got to teach, and then you got to figure out, how does he learn best? How does he learn best? How does he learn best? And if he's not getting it, it's most likely not his fault. It's that you haven't figured out how to teach it, how to get him energized and motivated, or how to connect with his brain in particular to get it. So there's a lot more to coaching than we certainly make it out to be in regards to, hey, they know football, show them how to do it. There you go. Scheme it up, go.
Yeah. And I will say this, like, how times have changed when you talk to some of the former players and things like that and hear what they have to say. It wasn't like that back when, Bo Schembechler was here in Ann Arbor, and, guys like Doug Skeen, who's a contributor for us and analyst, does a great podcast with Chris Ballas, our senior editor. And they talk about it all the time, how when Les Miles was the offensive line coach at Michigan, it was his way or the highway. And Doug Skeen has said multiple times, I hated him, but I respected him. And I did what he said, and it worked out, and they trusted that it was going to work. So, yeah, part of that is trusting that what they say is going to work. But at the same time, it was never like this before where, it's like you said, it's the coach's fault for not getting through. Back then, it was like, hey, you can, you do it my way or the highway. Now there's the transfer portal and all of that. But it's just different times. But, yeah, so I think Jim Harbaugh came in with more of that old school mentality, and he'll always have that. But I think he's recognized, and he's been willing to adapt at times during his Michigan career. He's recognized that, hey, I have to change something up because clearly it's not winning me championships. And, we'll see what happens over the next couple of years. I think that he has like 2 years probably to prove it. And I expect them to be better than they were last year. So we'll just see how much better that is.
And again, anything can be taken to an extreme. So there's a balance there between old school and new school.
Right.
No
right.
question about that.